News on CBS.
Coming up on Mountain News at 6, people in several counties are still rebuilding as we begin to mark 1 year since the historic flood. Plus, Attorney General Daniel Cameron and Governor Andy Beshear make stops in the mountains.
And very hot weather continues as we head into tomorrow. What that may mean for any outdoor flood remembrances coming up as Mountain News at 6 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
1 year ago tonight, more heavy rain was getting ready to move into the region, but we had no idea the catastrophe it would cause. Many homes were destroyed and families are still struggling to get their lives back together 1 year later. Businesses, industry, and foundations are trying to do their part to help and pay honor to those lost. WYMT's Phil Pendleton begins our coverage in Perry County.
The old JCPenney store in Hazard has long been a relief center after the flood. Today, it was where people could drop off school supplies.
And all of the school supplies that we raised today are going to go back to the schools that were affected by the floods and the students and long-term recovery groups that were affected by the floods as well that are being case managed.
The need was great last year. It remains that way a year later.
To try to make sure that the people that need us most are able to use our funds from the ARH Foundation to get back on their feet.
We want to remember those that we lost, those that continue to work towards rebuilding.
Across town at the ARH Hospital, a ceremony to remember those lost to the flood.
You know, we all have struggled here in the hospital, and we've done a really good job of coming together. So.
Driving through Eastern Kentucky, you see the signs of progress, like a brand new bridge right here, but you also sense the sadness that is still evident here. You see the destruction, senses of what was lost, and for some people, what may never be the same.
It's a scary night. My mother called me about 2 o'clock in the morning and she said, "We're trying to get out." She said, "It's flooding."
A helicopter was used to rescue some of her family. A year later, the emotions of what happened are still strong.
I couldn't leave my house. My road had washed away. So we lost all cell phone service.
The flood took away so much, but people say the response in bringing them all closer together has been amazing. Perry County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
ARH officials say they have raised $1.3 million for flood relief in the region. Today, 7 homes were dedicated to flood survivors in Letcher County. Volunteers with the Appalachia Service Project say they have worked tirelessly during the past year to help families in the region. CEO of the Appalachia Service Project, Melissa Winburn, says even though some people have lived in the homes for weeks, this is a chance to remember the day the flooding started 1 year ago.
Today is a chance for us to step back and commemorate and remember what happened a year ago, but also to celebrate some successes that have happened. Volunteers with Appalachia Service Project have built 8 homes in the region, and today we are dedicating 7 of those homes.
Winburn says they are still building a dozen homes in the region. She says it's all part of the process of rebuilding people's lives. The Feisty Corner Church in Knott County was damaged in last year's flood. Officials are coming together tonight to remember the lives lost. They are hosting a night of remembrance and healing. Dan Beasley traveled from Michigan, and he says it's an important event.
We're having a memorial and appreciation and a healing event for the first responders. We're going to be saying the names of all of the people that perished through all the counties in Eastern Kentucky. And then we're going to be having a candlelight vigil in honor of them.
Beasley encourages more people to come and remember those lost tonight. The church is located at 11387 Highway 550 West near the Knott-Perry County line. Hundreds of people have gathered in Whitesburg for an addiction recovery celebration in March. That also ties in with the flood anniversary. WYMT's Keaton Hall joins us now live from Whitesburg. And Keaton, they tried to host this walk last year, right?
That's right. The Help End Addiction for Life Recovery March was supposed to be held around this time last year, but as we know, the weather had some other plans.
Right. We had all set for last year, supposed to be on the 28th last year, and of course on that Sunday beforehand it gave horrific rainstorms. We decided to cancel it, and unfortunately we had the catastrophic flood. So last year at this time we were trying to rescue people from the flood, but today we're here to rescue them from substance use disorder.
After being canceled due to the flood last year, the Heal Recovery Central March was finally held today in Whitesburg.
And we're having everybody out today. Our partners are all participating. We have people who are using substances, who are trying to get off substances, who are in recovery, who have completed recovery, trying to get their life back. So we're having them all come today, and we're doing a march today.
Hundreds of people showed up and braved the high heat to march in support of those suffering from substance abuse and celebrate those in recovery, like the Days.
It's been a good experience. It's been a life changer for me, for real.
If you're out there, you can do it. If you want to do it, you can.
Now, the march wasn't the end of the festivities today. The Levitt Amp Music Series is set to get kicked off here in just a little bit, but there's cool car show, there's cornhole, there's a farmer's market going on, and the performances from John Haywood and Sonora May, of course, the wife of Tyler Childers, coming up in just a little bit. So still a lot of fun to be had here in Whitesburg. So, Steve, back to you.
Yeah, sort of get the mind off the bad things associated with the anniversary. Keaton Hall, thank you very much. The music there starts at 6:30 with Sonora May hitting the stage around 7:30. Governor Andy Beshear made a stop in the Big Sandy this morning to announce more sites for housing for flood victims. WYMT's Jordan Mullins was there.
Nearly a year after major floods rocked the region, folks are still seeking assistance. In Floyd County, things are no different.
A lot of times we just need somebody to give us a helping hand, and that's a lot of these people. They just need a helping hand. They're not asking for a handout. They just want a little help getting back on their feet.
On Thursday, Governor Andy Beshear made an announcement that will help flood victims with affordable housing. Governor Beshear announced $2 million in grant funding for Floyd County to purchase and install infrastructure on 2 pieces of property. These 2 properties will hold 34 new homes for families affected by flooding 1 year ago.
But if we remain committed, we continue to keep our promise, what we will have at the end of the day will be something special. Not just rebuilt neighborhoods, but revitalized neighborhoods.
Allowing families to leave flood-prone areas for brand new housing.
We understand the importance of these people wanting to stay home. I want them to stay home. I don't want them moving to Lexington. That's why I feel like we're on the clock here. We have to get the housing to them as quickly as possible so we can keep them here in Floyd County.
And still stay close to home. In Floyd County, Jordan Mullins, WYMT Mountain News.
Officials say construction of the new homes will begin in the near future, but are not sure when they will be finished.
Our first alert weather day continues as we watch potentially dangerous heat work into the region. It's been hot today, even hotter tomorrow, and same thing as we head into Saturday. Heat advisory in place starting tomorrow for just about everybody as we head through the region. This kicks off at 11 a.m. tomorrow and runs through 10 o'clock on our Friday night. So dealing with the heat indices 100 to 105. Not just that, also watching the possibility for a strong storm or 2 tonight. Not a huge issue out there with widespread severe weather, but still watching that potential. You see the clouds working into our Pikeville Medical Center camera right now, keeping it just a touch cooler at 86, but they are an exception rather than the rule. Prestonsburg's at 89, Monticello at 92, Somerset Harlan at 91, so we will continue to see 90s there. Factor in the humidity, feels like 100 in Moorhead, 92 in Jackson, 98 in Somerset, and 104 in Monticello. The same feels like temperature as the urban heat island of Louisville. Right now, a clean sweep on Pinpoint Doppler, but you don't have to look too far to the north to see some showers and storms up near Vanceburg and Maysville and up near the Ohio River. Some of those could try to sneak into the region. We've been watching this particularly heavy thunderstorm triggering a flash flood warning just north of downtown Cincinnati. We'll see how much progress that makes south of the Ohio River here over the nighttime hours, and we could see a few more trying to work on into the region. Through the evening, Upper 80s quickly becoming low 80s tonight and upper 70s overnight. Steve, I'll have the details on when we see a return to the heat indices near 100 in a few minutes.
Evan, thank you. Today, Attorney General Daniel Cameron brought his campaign for governor to eastern Kentucky. Cameron stopped in several counties to meet with supporters and let them know his plans for the Commonwealth. WYMT's Madison Carmouche spoke with Cameron at 2 of his stops and has more.
As the GOP gubernatorial candidate, Attorney General Daniel Cameron is working to show his support for eastern Kentucky nearing the 1-year anniversary of the July flood.
I'm so grateful for the people here in this region and how they have persevered. When I was here a year ago, during or after the flooding, I saw so many neighbors helping neighbors. Even though their homes had been destroyed, they were still helping others.
Cameron says the people of the Commonwealth as a whole deserve a governor who works to improve the economy and provide opportunities.
And we also need to target small manufacturing to eastern Kentucky and have an economic development cabinet that mirrors our population, and that means having someone from eastern Kentucky that serves within that cabinet to make sure that this area is not forgotten.
Cameron says the coal industry makes up a large part of the region's economy, but there needs to be focus on building the economy in other ways as well.
I think the first thing is that we have to have a governor that is going to use the role of governor to push back against the Biden administration and to push back against this war on coal that we have seen.
Cameron says if he is elected governor of Kentucky, he will do everything he can to fight for folks in the mountains.
Again, as the next governor of Kentucky, I'm going to fight tooth and nail for the folks of eastern Kentucky.
Madison Carmouche, WYMT Mountain News.
Cameron also says working to keep the coal industry in business in this region is important to him. Officials with the Floyd County Sheriff's Department are looking for a stolen motorbike. They say a 2022 KTM motorbike was taken from the Auxure community early yesterday morning. Officials say they also noticed a maroon 4-door Dodge truck following the bike after it was stolen. If you have any information about the incident, you can call the Floyd County Sheriff's Department at 606-886-6171. Officials with the Pikeville Police Department are asking for help in identifying 3 men about an ongoing investigation. Officials say the 3 men you are looking at on your screen were in a black passenger car. Pikeville PD say if you have any information about the case, you can call them at 606-437-5111. Deputies with the Whitley County Sheriff's Office are looking for a missing man. They say 38-year-old William Rapier was last seen on July 17th in the Pleasant View community. Officials describe Rapier as 6 feet tall, 140 pounds, with brown eyes and brown hair. He was last seen wearing a black shirt and blue jeans. If you have any information, you can contact Whitley County Dispatch at 606-549-6017. Traffic safety is at the forefront of many officials' minds in Lexington after 3 deadly crashes this week. With several crashes and incidents happening throughout the state this summer, AAA says when it comes to this time of year, many factors can lead to a traffic incident. With the recent incidents in Lexington, AAA of the Bluegrass reminds folks to always be aware.
Aggressive driving, which includes speeding and things like going through stoplights, that's one. Secondly, impaired driving, whether it's drugs or alcohol, and that includes drugs that you may have a prescription for and over the counter as well, but may impair your driving, so you have to be mindful of that. And then the third one is distracted driving, and we certainly can see evidence of that as well.
Hawkins also says to look out for construction zones and other work areas. AAA encourages drivers to buckle up, adding that could be the difference between life or death in a crash. The Clark County Fire Department responded to a call about a barn that collapsed on top of the farm's cattle yesterday morning. Officials do not know what caused the collapse, but they say poor weather conditions could be to blame for the collapse that killed 7 out of 15 cattle.
Went through the process of making sure the structure was sound and safe enough for us to go inside and remove all the live cattle that was remaining.
Clark County Road and Solid Waste Department helped assist in the response. Supervisor Alan Curtis says Clark County is a small farming community that will always take care of its neighbors. The Kentucky Education and Labor Cabinet released its unemployment numbers for the month of June in Kentucky. Several counties here in eastern Kentucky are at the top in terms of unemployment. Magoffin County's unemployment rate is at the top at nearly 10%. Other counties in the top 10 were Martin, Breathitt, Owsley, Pike, Leslie, and Knott. Unemployment rates grew in 53 counties in June of this year compared to June of 2022. For more about this, you can go to WYMT.com.
Well, coming up, hot weather continues as we head into the weekend as well, when heat indices peak near 100 degrees and when some of these storms could try to sneak into the region. Coming up, stay with us.